All right, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Malika checking in with another episode of From the Block podcast, and we have a very, very special guest in the building today. Please give it up, y'all, for Tez. Okay, I got a little intro for you. You ready? Okay. First of all, congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
So, if y'all don't know, Tez is a young entrepreneur here in Atlanta who has accumulated over 6 figures in wealth with his multiple businesses. So, before we get into like all the accolades, and other things, you have a story because every
Absolutely.
entrepreneur has a story.
Yeah.
So, we gonna get into that. Okay, so where are you from?
From Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how'd you come out here?
So I was delivering do-rags locally in Cleveland, and I had a kid at 18, didn't go to college, graduated high school with like a 2.7 GPA. I feel like everybody got their sad story, but for me it was like that was when life kind of turned around. So kind of at the lowest point in my life, I found myself, and I kind of rode that sad story to the top. So I basically worked at a factory. Then I went into sales, and then I was delivering do-rags on the side, making some money, and then I started my first business. It took off probably like after like 16 months, so about a little over a year and a half. And really, to be honest with you, it was just all consistency. So then I started my clothing brand, One Love, which I'm rocking now. Gave my daughter 50% ownership in it, and ever since then, we just kind of been scaling. I've been teaching people clothing. We transitioned into the AI space now, so it's been a lot of transformations throughout the last couple of years.
We're going to talk about all of that in a second.
Do it.
So do you come from a family that pushed entrepreneurship, or were they more into working like blue and white collar jobs?
A lot of my family, like my grandfather, he had his own business. He was doing construction though, so I'll come from a family of like a lot of men. I come from a really, really big family, and getting their hands dirty. So I was like always somewhere getting my hands dirty, or I was playing sports because every single one of my uncles played sports or boxing or karate or something like that. So it was always something that I was inside of.
So the clothing brand, was that your first business to reach 6 figures or something else?
So it was my do-rag brand.
Do-rag brand.
So,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we scaled that, and then we scaled it to 6 figures in 16 months, and then the clothing brand we got to 6 figures in 7 months. And then it was just kind of just taking what I learned and just really applying it to a new business. Then we got into the e-learning space with digital products, and then we did 7 figures in our first year and a half or 2 years. So, it was pretty transformational.
So when was that like, oh dang moment when you finally realized like, wow, I'm really making some money?
I think when I was selling cars, like I think I've always had hustle. Like even since I was a kid, like I got cut from the basketball team, and whenever I got cut, every single year I would go back work even harder after crying and all of that stuff. So I think for me, like I always knew I was gonna make it. I just didn't know what the pathway looked like, but I just trusted in God that I was gonna make it.
Yeah.
So for me, I knew I was making some good money when I was selling cars, and my business was doing like 20K a month on the side.
So when did you? Cause okay, so you know how like most social media entrepreneurs, they're like, all right, we're not gonna do this 9 to 5 stuff. I need you to fully focus on that business, make that 6 figures. So you would recommend that although entrepreneurship is good, it is important that you have your job on the side until you can comfortably say, all right, I quit.
Absolutely. I think I personally have my own views on things. I think society, we try to push, not we, but I think a lot of people in society try to push these agendas on people and how you should go about life. And I don't think that you should do anything. I think you could do certain things, but I personally believe you should have stability, or you could have stability before you jump straight into entrepreneurship. Because what a lot of people don't know is those down months are really bad months. So if you don't have something on the side that's stable, that could support what your lifestyle looks like, or assist you with the business and getting it back up and moving, then you could literally lose your business and not have no money and then go broke. And then that's how a lot of people are like really struggling, especially right now.
Yeah. So what's the biggest hardship? What's the biggest hardship that you faced in the beginning, trying to grow your brands?
I think it was just balance, like being a dad and then having multiple brands, and then also still trying to find time to be a 19, 20-year-old that could live life a little bit. So like a lot of the things that people had the chance to do between the ages like 18 and like 21, I didn't get a chance to do those because I was like full on dad. So for me, it was like I took the responsibility of taking care of my child. I can party later. And then when I get super wealthy, when I get super rich, then I can party however long I want, and I can wake up in the morning and do what I want when I want. So that was more powerful for me. So I just kind of put my head down. I was like, you know what, I'll kick it and stuff. Like I kicked it a little bit, but I'll kick it and stuff when things are going the way I want it to go.
Yeah, which we probably should have like said this in the beginning, but you're 24,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah, that's like really young.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have this mindset, because like we don't see that often with a lot of young people. So man, shout out to you.
Thank you.
So I guess the perfect follow-up question to that. So people always say that when you want to, take that leap of faith, when you want to grow as a person, the first step is expanding your mind. So what was the first thing you did to just change your mindset and evolve into this, person that you are right now?
I think it was just I started accumulating more knowledge. Like I started seeking my curiosity. So every time somebody started talking about stocks, or they was talking about crypto, or they was talking about business, I'm like, okay, I don't know about it, but why don't I know about it? It's probably because I didn't open up my phone or go open up a book to find it. So I just started going down a rabbit hole of getting information. And I also believe that I wanted to be one of the best in my industry at whatever I did. So like I always grew up in high school and things like that. I wasn't the best in sports. So I was like, man, maybe sports just not for me, or maybe school just not for me. I didn't have the best GPA. I wasn't the smartest. But then I realized like just because you went to school and you weren't the best doesn't mean you can't be the best at something else in life. And that's when I found out like, oh, I can get in front of the camera and I can speak fluently and I can articulate myself in ways where most can't. And I can also accumulate knowledge and be able to distribute it to other people, without actually pausing and all of that stuff. And I can understand and get somebody else to comprehend it. So for me, it was just really just finding more knowledge and then just being adamant about getting to the next level. Because a lot of people say they want to be at the next level, but your day-to-day decisions is what's going to actually show. And, I get up at 7, 8 in the morning. I go work out. I eat the healthy food. I drink a lot of water. I read a chapter a day. Like, I do those things every single day. So it's like, it shows in your actions for sure.
So how does someone mentally and financially prepare to start a business?
I don't think you're really prepared when you start a business. Even with people who start with a lot of capital, they think they can go in and just instantly flip it. And I think right now, especially with social media, a lot of people have the perception that this is a get rich quick thing, or it can just happen overnight. And it's really not. The overnight success stories you hear are from people who've been grinding in the dark for 4 years.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years. So it's like, for me personally, I don't believe that you're just going to jump into this game and instantly hit. Now, is it the 1% that do it? Absolutely. They're always out there, but it's always like when you scale fast, you fall even faster. So it's like, if you don't have those systems in place, it's very easy for you to fall off.
Because I heard someone say one time, like, it was a stupid person anyway, but they was like, oh, if you don't make money your first year in business, then like, what you doing? But I mean, really, statistically speaking, most businesses don't make money until maybe about a good, maybe 4 or 5 years in. And when I say money, I mean like real money. Yeah. So don't feel bad if, after 1 year, you're kind of not even at the starting point, but just the capital is not coming in as you thought. Like good things take time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's another thing too. It's like, for people, and no disrespect to him or anything, but it's like you're not thinking far out enough. I'm always thinking in a 5 to 7 year time span. So whatever I'm doing now is going to pay off 7 years from now. So I'm not worried about what it's going to give me right now. Like the watches, the jewelry, the cars, and all of that stuff that I have now, I knew I was going to get that stuff 5 years ago. So when I was working, I'm like, all right, this is going to pay off in 5 years. And it finally paid off. So it's like, now I'm working, and now it's like, it's going to pay off in another 5 years. And you just keep it going. But right now, people want things very quickly. So you're not willing to think in decades. You're not willing to think in 3 to 4 year intervals. So now you can't see the success that you want because you just jumping from thing to thing to thing just because it didn't work right then and there when you wanted it to.
So I'm curious to know your opinion on the phrase "use your debt to pay your debt."
I'm not really.
Don't work for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a real estate standpoint, I think it's smart. Just because if you acquire debt, then at that point if you're doing it the right way, you're acquiring cash flow. And like for rental properties, if you buy an apartment building and let's say the mortgage is $25,000, but you're actually bringing in from tenants and everything, like $35,000. So you're profiting $10,000, but you're using the tenants' money to pay down the debt. In that case, it's smart. I don't recommend taking out loans to pay off other debt when the interest rates right now is continuously rising. And then on top of that, if you've never had good financial sense in the first place, you borrowing money is not going to just make you more money. It's going to, you still have the same financial habits. So you're going to keep making the same decisions, which is why, like, I personally believe in college and things like that. You pull $60,000 of debt to learn these degrees, but you never did the statistics or research about the people who graduate from college. Only 27% of people who graduate from college get a job in their field, let alone the 43% of people who drop out the first year. So it's like, if you don't do those statistics and start being realistic with yourself, it's easy for you to just get caught up in life. So I always tell people, control life. Don't let life control you.
So, we're gonna talk about all your businesses because I did like my research. So, you have 7 currently. You correct me if I'm wrong though, but you have 7 streams of incomes.
Yep.
Okay, so let's break that down real quick. So, you have the One Love clothing brand,
Yep.
and you have the do-rag business. So that's 2.
Yep.
So for the clothing brand, did you always have a love for fashion, or did you just initially start the business as just a way of passive income?
In high school, I always had like some drip. You know, I could put fits together. My sister, my mom, like they all really good with like dressing. So like for me, it was like it was like kind of just second nature. And then as I grew up, I got better and better and better at it. So to the point where people are like my fits when I go to school and things like that, or like, yo, where you getting all these shoes and stuff like that. So it was always like I already knew fashion. And I think it was for real when I started the brand, I was already doing do-rags and I had already did volume. So we had already had like 8,000 orders before I started the clothing brand. So I was very seasoned in that business, but I knew that my margins weren't high enough. So I went to clothing because I was seeking higher profit margins. So instead of profiting, you know, I could sell somebody 5 do-rags and only profit $20, $30, or I could sell a person a jogging suit and profit $60. So it was like, it made more sense, and it took the same amount of energy for me to get somebody to buy a piece of clothing as a do-rag.
So let's say someone wants to start a clothing brand, or really like just any type of business where they're selling a product, where they have to create it, but they're balling on a budget. So what are some initial steps one should take?
I personally believe nowadays it's a lot easier to start, especially with a budget. Like, you know, a lot of people talk about ChatGPT, but you can literally go tell it, hey, I have a budget of $100 or I have a budget of $1,000. How do I start my clothing brand that's named blank, that represents blank, and is specifically for people like this? And then you input all of that information. It'll give you exactly what you should do step by step. So it's a lot easier, especially for beginners, to really start thriving right now. Regardless of the business, you know, I think you can start literally any business right now. Like there's software coding and things like that are happening right now in our face, with just a couple types. So I think, you know, right now, I think it's more important for people to just ask the right questions. But if you're just starting out, I definitely recommend breaking down your budget and understanding that, and then understanding that you might have to raise it by a little bit because you may go over it a little bit more. And then really just focusing on the idea, the culture of the brand, and really focusing on like what it represents and who is the person that should be buying it from you. Because you can't sell to everybody. Like everybody's not my target on it. So when my brand One Love, you know, it's primarily for people who enjoy family. So like when I went into this brand, it was like, okay, One Love, you know, representing people who you love and things like that, and where you come from and things. So now it was a lot easier for me to get people who have families. So then they start buying kid sets. They start buying sets together. So now I went from making $100 from a jogging suit to making $600 on an order because this woman or this mom said, yo, both my kids need matching sets. I need to match with them, and my dude need it. And then all collectively came out to 600. So it's like people are willing to spend the money if it makes sense, but they're only going to spend the money if they're the right people.
Yeah.
So.
It's really crazy you said that, because that was actually my follow-up question. But what I would say, adding on to that, you know, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Facts. So next, right? Okay, we're on business number 3, Toro business. So that's bad, because I tried to research that, but I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So that's like a rental service.
Rental car.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, so I actually stopped doing Turo, just because like I had a situation where a guy was like, took my car across the state, then found out he was living in it, and then it was just like, for the amount of money that it was paying me, it just wasn't worth the energy.
Okay.
If I did it again, I would probably outsource it to somebody else. So somebody who already has a rental car business flowing, and they know structures, they have systems in place, and I could just kind of put a car there. Other than that, it really wouldn't be something that I would look forward to doing, just because it's like, okay, yeah, you pay the car note, But I also believe that, I just don't like having debt. I don't like having monthly payments. So like on the car now that I have, the Model X, I just bought it cash because I was like, I don't want to deal with no monthly payments no more.
Gotcha.
Mm.
So subscription-based business.
Yep.
So that's when, what is that?
So it's called Limitless Investments. It's the #1 clothing brand Discord server in the world. So we have 9,200 members in there. We do sports betting, stocks and trading, options trading, and it's really just a community of people who look just like us, who are trying to seek more information, and they're seeking assistance and guidance. So I think I built this community. It was free at first. It was called Project Ecom, and it was for anybody who bought my courses. And then afterwards, I'm like, you know what? I can really impact people even more if I have this separate as a complete business. And that's exactly what we did. So we just started scaling that business. It's very profitable. And I think one of the biggest things is like, I enjoy the fact that for the people who live in communities like how I grew up, or, they live in a hood or something like that, and they're really trying to get out, but they don't know nobody that knows the information. I thought it was just very unique that I could create something where somebody who looks just like me, who may have grew up just like me or sound like me, they could come into this Discord community, take classes with us, or, get their questions answered on a clothing brand, or if they, sports betting. A lot of people, talk about gambling. Okay, well, let me give you guys 2 people who are experts in it, who've been doing it for 7-6 years. Let me put them in place so you can start winning, and then understanding the psychology, because it's all risk management. So, for me personally, I just thought that it's dope to build a community. And now I have 9,200 people I can easily market to at any point, but also I have 9,200 people who have been impacted by me in some sort of way.
Yeah, that was really dope.
Yeah.
So next, stock market investments. So how did you get into stock market investing?
Yeah, so an old friend of mine, he was doing a lot of investing in stocks. And at one point he was kind of like a mentor for me, and he was really putting me on game with investing. And at that time around COVID, I didn't expect my businesses to really start booming. So it was like digital products were booming, my clothing brand was booming, do-rag business, everything was just hitting at the right time. And all of the money, for a 21-year-old, I was making a lot of money. Like, you get a $40,000 payout on a Friday. You're sitting at it, you're looking at it. And then I just started thinking, like, what would the average 21-year-old do with that? And I'm like, buy a Benz, buy some Dior, buy some clothes. So for me, I was like, okay, I can still do those things, but majority of this is going to get allocated to investments. So if I got a payout like that, 80% of it would get thrown into the stock market, and I will buy companies that I personally, viewed on charts and things like that, and it made sense. So I would buy these companies, and then I would leave a small portion for myself. So it would be like, okay, this is going into the stock investments. This is going towards myself, towards my savings. And then this little, very small portion, it may be $1,500, I'll spend on myself. And at that point, it's like, I won't feel upset about spending that money, where it's like, I'll go spend that money with friends, and they may look at me like, yo, why are you spending $1,500? But you don't know how much money that just came in and how much I just invested.
Yeah.
So I can reward myself because I invested more than 10 times the amount of money that I'm about to buy in this shoes or some clothes and stuff like that. And to be honest, for me, I'm not really like, I like this stuff. And don't get me wrong, like I'll buy the jewelry, I'll buy that stuff, but it doesn't make me who I am. When I bought the Rolex, it was like, I put it on and I would listen to all the songs they was talking about, bust downs. And then for a quick second, I took it off, and I was like, I'm still the same exact person without it. So whether I bought this watch or not, I was still gonna be the same Tez. And that's when I told myself I'll never let materialistic things change who I am.
I like that.
Appreciate it.
All right, Tez, but let's just keep it real for a sec, though. All right. Do you think investing is for everyone?
Yes. Investing is for everyone. Business is not for everyone. There's a difference. So business, like understanding how businesses work, systems, operations, KPIs, which is like key performance indicators, people don't go down that route of understanding business in that way. And it's not going to be for everyone. A lot of people don't have the discipline to keep up with business, especially when it comes to firing people, especially if you like hiring people who are close to you and stuff like that. You got to set boundaries. So a lot of people aren't, I wouldn't say a lot of people, I would just say a good amount of people business isn't for. I think investing is for every single person though. Regardless of your viewpoint on it, I think a lot of people don't understand investing to the T. So it's like, until you really start doing research, it's going to be like, I don't want to do it because this person lost money, when in reality, they didn't understand investing. So they were just gambling. That's exactly what it was. You put $100,000, you put $10,000 into Dogecoin because you thought it was going to take off, and then you lost all of it. Well, that's probably because it wasn't a good coin to invest in. Well, did you look at Ethereum? Did you look at Bitcoin? If you would have bought those 6 months ago, you'd probably be up over 40% right now. So it's like, these are things that people aren't looking at.
I ain't gonna cap. Was it in 2021 or 2020 when Elon Musk was hosting SNL?
Mm.
They was like, y'all, if you like, you gotta invest in this coin. I swear, like, you gonna make big bank. I put like $200 in.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got like maybe 15 back,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, damn, fuck all y'all for real.
I mean, a lot of people are like catching on to trends. So like, I caught Dogecoin before anyone like was talking about it on social media. So like, I seen Elon talk about it, and then when I see, because I have all his post notifications on, and that's part of doing fundamental analysis, understanding what's going on in the market, trends and things like that. So I seen him talking about it. I put $2,000 into it. I had my mom put $1,000 into it. 2 days later, my 2,000 turned into 7,000, and her 1,000 turned into 4,000. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And then a week later, everybody started talking about on social media, the same 2,000 went to 30,000. And then I just pulled profits, and I was like, cool. Like,
No, I was laughing because when my mama hear this, she gonna kill me. She put 700 in and she didn't get nothing back.
it be like that sometimes. It's a risk for sure.
All right, so but like, okay, so what's your take on when people say, you know, like, man, this economy's about to crash, like it's giving the 1920s Great Depression. Why would you want to invest in the stock market?
I mean, you buy the fear and you sell the greed.
Mm.
So what that means is basically like when everybody,
Shirt.
absolutely, absolutely, when everybody's fearful, you know, and they talk about the economy is going to crash and COVID and recessions, those are the best times to invest. That's where millionaires are made. You know, my money grew. I probably wouldn't even be where I am right now if my money didn't grow the way it grew in the stock market, because I didn't have to do anything. So if it can appreciate like that and I just made the right moves and I made the right investments, then you can virtually become a millionaire, especially if you're paying attention and you understand risk management. And sell the greed, which is when everybody's talking about how everything is about to go perfect and, you know, the economy is about to be at the best it's ever been and the stock market's about to hit new highs. That's when I'm looking at taking profits. And I'm going to take those profits, I'm going to sit them down, and I'm going to wait to the next down market, and I'm going to wait to the next down time, because you're going to have more green times than red. But during those red, especially is like times like COVID, like, again, I was investing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was investing a lot of my money during a really down period. And that was because I had guidance from other people who told me like, yo, this is the time you want to invest. And although I should have invested even more, it's just like, you know, I'm okay with profiting. You can't be mad at profit.
So where do you find those people?
For me, I was just talking about my story a lot on Twitter, and I went viral a couple times. And, you know, a lot of these people are just online now. They may be a little bit bigger on social media. But to be honest, I think things just kind of fell in my lap at the right time. You know, yeah, I think, you know, if I had to go back and do things, I would have did everything the same exact way. I wouldn't do anything differently. I don't know, certain people fell into my life at the right times, and certain people left them at the right time. So, you know, it's a plus all around.
So, okay, so what's like the entry level guide to learning about the stock market?
Entry level, man, there's so many different ways. You got to first like ask yourself, what are your habits with money right now? Like, when you make money, are you just going to blow it? Do you know how to put a portion of it aside? Like, those are questions you got to ask before you start getting into the stock market. The next thing is like, why are you trying to invest in the stock market? Is this like a long-term play, or are you trying to like learn trading? Like, that's the next really big question. And then on top of that, well, how much money do I have to allocate? Like, what's my risk? If I'm willing to invest, how much am I okay with losing? That's the next thing. But also look at stability. You know, I look at companies like SPY, or, you know, ETFs and indexes like SPY and QQQ, where you get a lot of those Fortune 500 companies. You get to have a portion of ownership in all of those businesses by owning just that one.
I gotta ask, were you ever inclined to be a part of that? You remember that Forex era a couple years ago? Were you ever just like, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna like do this, or were you like, nah, this is cap?
Nah, I think for me personally, I was so deep in the e-commerce space that when I seen Forex really popping off, because I seen Forex before it started popping off, and then when it started popping off, I just kind of seen how it was working. You know, these are just people who are trying to get people to join so they can build a team and all of that stuff. And for me personally, I was like, I'm good. You know, like I think I was building such a strong name. I trusted in myself to build a strong brand around my name that I didn't need to do no Forex stuff or to be around somebody or have somebody join my team. I was just like, look, I know it's going to take me some years to get to where I want to get to. And I'm still not where I want to be. And it's going to take even more years. But I'm patient. I'm okay with that.
I had the same mindset back then too. Oh my God. Like they would come on like my college campus, right? Say like all types of shit. Just be like, you gonna be working 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. You know, you can come eat with us, or you can just go be on the other side. And I mean, shit, no shade to them, but you know, fast forward 4 or 5 years later.
Right back. I mean, you know, it's, a lot of people don't know what they're saying. It's like when you don't understand the sales mechanics. Like I did sales, so like I understand sales, and I also do one-to-many sales, like webinars and things like that. So I really understand the psychology behind selling somebody and getting somebody to make an investment. When you don't understand that and you don't understand why you're doing it, because you like a lot of those people can't get you results. So it's like my selling is different from their selling. My selling is I have a proven strategy and a system that can help you if you put the work in. Their selling is we're going to make you make a lot of money, but if you don't, then I don't know. And if you don't do this, then you're going to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, and you're going to hate your life. And it's like, at the end of the day, all of y'all are young and y'all haven't even been in the space longer than 2 years. So like for me, especially with business people, if somebody hasn't been in the space for longer than like 3 to 4 years, I tend not to like focus on what they're saying, because they haven't seen all of the ups and downs.
A lot of them try to like brainwash young people too.
Oh, of course,
like,
yeah.
That should be crazy.
Yeah.
So you said that you have a certain art to selling. What is that art?
I mean, it's different mechanics. You know, there's different ways to close people, but you also have to understand why the product you have or what you offer somebody, it has to truly solve a problem. So like for me, like with digital products, I knew based off of 19 students making $100,000 with their clothing brand, I knew for a fact that I could teach somebody how to make 5,000, 10,000, or what would an extra $300 a day do for you. I knew I could teach somebody how to do that. And I had already found the system from within myself. So for me personally, it was just like I found a system that worked, and then I tried to teach as many people as possible. And then naturally I grew. In the beginning, I was giving a lot of the game out for free. So that's how I got a lot of these students to these points. And then I had to charge for it, because it was like, okay, I'm giving y'all the game for free. I want to genuinely help you. I want you to get to the next level. But if it's free, you're not going to value it. So I have to put a price tag on it in order for you to value it. So if it don't hurt when you put the investment in, you're not going to really take it serious, which is why a lot of people, only 7% of people actually get through an entire course. 93% of people buy something just to have it. But the investment wasn't a hurtful investment. It wasn't an amount of money that made them feel like, okay, I got to take this serious because I want to make this back.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Okay, so next stream of income, selling courses. Okay, and then the last one is crypto, investing in crypto. So, what's one trick one could do, which I feel like you kind of already answered this, but like what's something one can do to like spot out a crypto scam? Because there are a lot online.
If you look at a crypto, and you really got to do research on it, like a lot of research, like who's the owner behind it, what do they stand for, what are their projections for it, what problems are they solving, what is their utilization, like how do you, like what is it for, like what problem does it solve? If it doesn't solve a problem, then you really shouldn't even be putting money into it. But for most people, and this isn't investing advice at all, but I personally just say stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those will pay out over the long term.
Free game.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to clarify too, y'all, crypto is a digital currency, which is an alternate form of payment.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
period.
When people talk about the dollar going to zero, it's very possible. It's not backed.
Yeah, I've been hearing that for a good minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you shouldn't be sitting on a crazy amount of liquid cash. So like for me, like we're looking at rental properties and apartment buildings and stuff, so we can put this money somewhere else, because at some point it's gonna switch. Just like the same way, like, you know, there's so many different examples, but like Blockbuster, Netflix, right? Like radios, TV.
Yeah.
Then you got TV, streaming, and then you got cell phones. And it's like every couple decades or every couple years, there's something taking over something else. So I wouldn't be surprised that if the dollar just went to something else, we went digital. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I've been hearing that for a minute. So what's the hardest part about owning a business that no one ever talks about?
The long nights, um, the anxiety, the stress, what you deal with mentally, how you deal with it. You know, I used to cope with smoking a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
then probably like 3 months ago, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm not, I feel like I'm strong enough mentally to not require weed just to get over my anxiety or to get over my stress. And it was like, I'm at a point in my life where I want to seek the best version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the best version of myself is clear minded. And it depends on what the best version of yourself is, what that looks like to everyone else. But to me personally, it's like I want to be clear minded. I don't want to walk around smelling like weed. I don't want that to be my presentation when I walk up and I shake somebody's hand and there's a
Mm-hmm.
scent of weed coming by. I want it to be cologne. I want it to be clear minded. I want to be able to articulate myself. I want to be able to remember things. A lot of people don't like look at it, but when you smoke a lot of weed every day, your memory gets really, really bad. And
Thanks.
I was going through that one period of time where I would forget something 3 minutes after I said it. And it was just like, I didn't want that for myself. So I changed. And it takes people getting to a certain point in life to the point where they want to change. I think older people, they have so much wisdom, but we don't listen. So I think that's where a lot of people downfall. So like
Mm-hmm.
now for me, and this is the best piece of advice to anybody out there, seek information from people who are wiser than you and are in positions that you want to be in, because those people understand. They've been through everything you're about to go through. May not have been the catastrophes in life, or it may not have been in that exact way, but I can definitely tell you they've went through it in some form and they've already gotten through it because they're still alive. So I always try to, when somebody older is talking to me, or if they got more money than me, I'm shutting up. You got two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like listen more, speak less.
So what do you do now when you feel overwhelmed?
Now I like go to the gym. I'll
Okay.
play Fortnite or something like that. Like I'll jump on the game. A lot of the times too, I do have a daughter, so like I'll spend time with her. She lives in Cleveland though, so like I fly back and forth
Mm-hmm.
like twice a month right now. Or I'll take a trip. A lot of the times you just need a break sometimes or an outlet. Or my content team. I have two guys and they're like my best friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they really got my back. So if I'm really feeling overwhelmed, I'll just go talk to them. But a lot of people don't have that outlet, so I do think everyone should have some form of outlet.
So it's easy to take on multiple tasks, but it's hard managing and excelling, all those tasks. So how do you successfully manage multiple things at the same time?
Honestly, I'm still working on it. A lot of like a couple of my businesses have taken a downturn, and I'm okay with being honest about it because
Yeah.
they've taken a downturn because I was so focused on the next thing, and the next thing blew up so fast that I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't manage it. So it was like, okay, you start this business, like same thing with my durag brand. Brand was doing great. Started the clothing brand, knocked it out of the water. So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
focused on this, but now this starts suffering and all the systems weren't in place. So the best way I would tell somebody to manage those is number one, don't even try to manage multiple businesses. I'm telling you, stick to one business over a long period of time.
I've heard that.
You look at the most successful people in the world, they focused on one thing over a long period of time. And that's what I'm learning. Or that's what I've learned throughout my last couple of years. But two, I've been in entrepreneurship for some years now, so I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of the ups and downs and how it works. But systems is very important and delegating things. So I think the ideal way to transition off of a business is make sure this business is doing profitably, 5 figures, 6 figures a month profitably, like net. And then once that's doing that, outsource it, have somebody else operate the entire business, completely create a system around it to where it operates without you having to do anything. Like if you can wake up and there's money right there and it's being made and the orders are being fulfilled and customer service is taken care of, if
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff is there, then you can start something else, which I still don't recommend. Just keep scaling that one thing. But if you wanted to, you can start something else then, but you got to take that same structure and apply it. And if this ever starts suffering, you got to be able to pause this and go back to it to make sure that it's, generating the money it needs to be generating. So that's one thing that I didn't do. And a lot of my businesses suffered. So now it's like we're working backwards. Okay, this business is thriving. We have a lot of systems. We got 20
Mm-hmm.
people working for me. Okay, now let's work our way backwards. How do we get this brand back to where it needs to be? Okay, well, let's reverse psychology. Why is it even here in the
Yeah.
first place? Okay, well, now I got to do this. We're not posting enough content. We're not doing enough photo shoots. We're not dropping enough pieces. We're not focusing on our clientele. All right, cool. Let's fix this. Put a system in place, outsource it to a warehouse, put it in the warehouse. They do everything customer service wise. We do the marketing, get somebody else to do the marketing at some point. Then you move on to the other business. All right, well, took the same thing from this and then you put it here. And then once those are all operating, you put social media managers, you put business managers, and you break off a portion of equity into those businesses to those people, and they do everything for you. And then you just, take it. So it's like you'd rather have 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape.
Yeah. But which I'm pretty sure like you've heard this before too, but that when that pandemic hit, not only did it shock a lot of people, but a lot of people were unprepared. So like I would constantly see, we kept on telling y'all how multiple streams of income, you can't just focus on one thing. We told y'all. And I think that just created a lot of anxiety in people. So now we're 3 years post the pandemic. And I feel like everyone's trying to like put their hands on multiple things, but they struggle with it because it's a lot.
There's you can create multiple streams within the one business. So like, for example, if I took my do-rag business, for example, okay, we have selling do-rags, bonnets, kids, do-rags, bonnets. Okay, cool. That's one stream, right? But then the next stream is, okay, how can I wholesale it? Now the people who are looking up to this brand or people reaching out, there's people who want to start businesses just like this, so I can wholesale it to them now. Okay, perfect. That's second stream, just right there. Third stream is, all right, can I get it in beauty supply stores? Can I get them to pay me in bulk to sell my products in their stores? Okay, yes, I can do that. Perfect. Then the next step is, at some point in time, outsourcing all of that stuff. And you can just, again, keep going further down the lines, but it really just like selling manufacturers. That's an extension of the business. Hey, you want our manufacturer that makes our do-rags? Perfect. It's just $100. Then you do 10 people a month off that. You make $1,000 a month. That pays for some inventory. The inventory makes you even more profit because it's selling fast. There's just multiple ways you can do it. But I didn't learn that until years in. So it was just like, I hope that people listen to this. And this is why I wanted to do the podcast. It's like the young people, they need the knowledge. It doesn't matter what following I have or how much money I have. It's about me extending my arm back out to the community of people who need it and give them the information that they need.
So, funny how you mentioned young people. So this is a good follow-up question. What are some things a broke college student can do that can help generate them income?
It's a lot of things. My student Jasmine, she did over $117,000, and she didn't even turn 21 yet, and she started a drop shipping business. She sold shoes. And she got like influencers to wear her stuff, and it kind of blew up. And then she was running ads, so she was making money. So she wasn't a struggling college student like how most would kind of view an average college student. For me personally, I would just say look at your current skill sets, and instead of always trying to do stuff for free for people, ask yourself, what are you really good at that you could get paid for? So like some people are like a lot of college students are very creative, like they have an eye for design. So what I would do is I would hit up people like myself or something like that, where I would say, hey, I would love to work with your clothing brand. I could come up with all the ideas as far as next pieces and next drops. And on top of that, I can design them. That's essential for me. I'm looking for somebody like that right now. Like I'm really, really willing to pay somebody monthly just to come up with the ideas and then do designs. Yeah. So hit me up if you like that. But you got to actually be good at it. You got to know fashion. You got to have some expertise. So like for me, that person would look like a girl who knows how to dress, who has some type of sense around fashion, and she may be doing a fashion or going for a fashion major or something like that, like something along those lines. But it really comes down to your skill set. So I would look at your skill sets. What are you good at? And if you're not good at anything, go learn something.
So let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on working for free? Overrated or underrated?
It really depends on your values and like how you view life. Again, a lot of people think you should do this. I think it works both ways. My opinion on it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because people are going to do what they want.
It's still your opinion, though.
Yeah, you're right. So, my opinion on it, I do think if you find the right people and they let you work for them for free, you get a lot of information and you can network with them. But there's going to be a good percentage of people who are just going to take advantage of you because it's free. Yes. So it's like, it's a balance.
It gets tricky.
Yeah.
My dad always told me at a young age, you live in America, there's no such thing as free. In America.
That's facts. My grandfather told me that. So it's a huge fact. There's relationships. I think the one thing that is free in some cases is network. You make the right connection with somebody and they may, I've made friends who've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in my pocket unintentionally, or they intentionally did. Like, hey, I got this customer who wants to pay you $10,000 for a mentorship. Cool. They send them over. They damn near already closed the client for me. All I got to do is send them an invoice. The invoice gets paid. Boom. And then I put them in the service. So it's like, there certain networks is very, very important to have. Like those relationships are very important.
So what are some quick tips that students can use to invest their refund checks, their college refund checks, to make a profit?
Um, Start with, like, if you're gonna do something like tangible, something you can feel, if it's products, start with the idea first. Be patient with it and start
Mm-hmm.
selling on campus. That's probably one of the biggest advantages that you have, is selling to other students that are already around you. So like I have one of my students, I can't remember his name. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. But he has a brand. He has a brand called damn, I can't even remember the brand too. So he has a brand, and basically he's on college, and or it's called One Life. Yeah, so One Life, and basically is One Life brand, and then he buys his stuff in bulk, puts it in his dorm, and then he takes a duffel bag. And I told him, get a Nike duffel bag, you put your clothes in there, and you go sell it. And then he just goes to sell it. And then he got a couple friends who want to sell it with him. So now you got multiple extensions of yourself making money, and you just give them a little portion, and now you just keep running it up. And that's kind of like how he's doing it. So he's able to pay for like his food,
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. It's called More Life, not One Life, More Life.
What books do you like to read?
Books on like finances, like psychology, financial books, investing, business books. Those are really like, I would like reading books that is going to change my perspective or give me more information to excel in the space that I'm already in. So like for me, I don't read a lot of like Harry Potter and stuff like that. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. You may want to switch things up. Perfectly fine. But I know what I like. I like financial books. I like reading something that was like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this in my business, or I could start something like this, or I can hire this type of person, or I can do this even better. I like reading books like that because it's going to improve my life. And then I can go back and read Harry Potter and stuff like that when I'm 60 or something like that. And if I care to even read it.
You think those self-help books like Wish It, Want It, Do It, How to Improve Your Life in 10 Days, overrated or underrated?
Um, I think it's a little of both, you know. Some people need motivation,
Mm-hmm.
but I also believe that people put stuff on titles of books just to sell them. You know, how to improve your life in 10 days. Really to
Look that up,
improve.
by the way.
The thing is like, if you really wanted to improve your life in 10 days, you would look at the things you do in your life that you don't like and you know it's not helping you. Then you would cut those off. And that right there is the hardest task for 95% of people. Because if you know you shouldn't be smoking, and you know smoking weighs on you, and you know it makes you super tired, yeah, you can stop for one day, but how about after 7 days? What about 14 days? What about 21 days when the withdrawals start hitting you and you really, really want to smoke? Or what about when your friend asks you, yo, let's smoke? Are you going to say no? Do you know how to say no? So those are like really big decisions that people have to learn how to do. Those self-help books may work for some people. Not saying it doesn't, but I also believe there's a common core foundation that every person who really wants to change their life should look at, and that's discipline, learning how to say no, and contributing a lot of their time to doing things that they don't want to do. I don't want to go to the gym, but I have to go to the gym because I want to be healthy and I want to live longer. So that's what it's going to take. I need to go to the gym, not read a book telling me to go to the gym and now thinking in my head that I should just go to the gym and never go to the gym. You have to execute. So like execution will always outweigh reading a book. Just the same way as like a college professor can only teach you so much. Experience will always be your number one teacher.
How should one move if they wanted to obtain leverage and gain notoriety?
I would just say focus on being pure. Just focus on being who you are. Understand who you are. Understand that you're human and that you're gonna make decisions in life that you're not gonna be fond of, and you may regret them at some point in life. And it's everybody. Never think that you're the only person who has made a bad decision. And it's okay that you've made a bad decision because you're human. God made it so we can make problem, or we can solve problems, so we can produce more of ourselves. But on top of that, to learn from our lessons. So it's like, if you ever looked at the evolution of life, that's what it is. You're born, you're a kid, you make a lot of mistakes, you learn from the mistakes, you become an adult, you make a lot of mistakes. Guess what? You learn from those mistakes, and at some point in time, in life, you get to that point where it's like, on my deathbed, did I do everything that I wanted to do? And did I make sure that I was kind to those people that I wanted to be kind to? Did I distribute negative energy into the world, or did I distribute positive energy? So like for me, it's like, a lot of times I try not to overthink things, even though I'm just a very self-aware person, so it's easy for me. But I try to just remember, like, at some point in time, I'm going to be on my deathbed. So, I heard Alex Hormozy talk about this, where he's able to picture himself as an 85-year-old person or his 85-year-old self, but rewinding and thinking about wishing he was 35 again. So I kind of think the same way. It's like one point in time, you know, God bless, I get to the age of 75. But what I'm going to regret is not doing the things at 24 that I wanted to do. So right now at 24, I'm thinking like, okay, how can I do everything I possibly can so when I get to 75, I have no regrets. I'm living the life, or I'm about to go out in the best way possible. And that's kind of how I view things. So it's like, if you're planting seeds, like for me, impact is everything. So when I get to my deathbed, I want to ask myself, did I plant as many seeds in these people, and did they get a chance to water them? And even though it's not on me, it's just like, I like the follow up. So if I planted these seeds, did they water them, and is their family thriving now? That's more important to me than the money, materialistic things, because as soon as you die, all you got is your name and what people say about you afterwards. So the materialistic things don't really matter.
I just thought of another follow up. So
Sure.
you kind of strike me as someone that you don't really like to be in the mix like that, and by in the mix, like, you're kind of like really picky with who you choose to be around. So what's your personal process of just picking out who you want in your inner circle?
I think a lot of my circle now are people who are doing better than me. So I like to be around people who are doing a lot better than me, or they have a very good aura. You know, I have friends who don't make a lot of money, like, and stuff like that. And those are the friends that kind of look at life the more simple ways. And I like to have that around me too. But for me personally, it's I don't want to hang around people that I don't want to be like. So like, I have friends who don't make a lot of money, but they're really good humans. And I need these people because it rubs off on me, and I need to be a better human. Then I have friends who make a shit ton of money, like millions a month. They're not the best people because they do some sketchy stuff, but they make a lot of money, so I can learn from them. So, you know, there's a fine balance, but, you know, I kick it here and there. But it's more so for like celebrations. I don't really do that stuff no more. I used to kick it a lot, like every weekend when I was in my hometown, but it just got unsafe. And once you build yourself up to a certain point, you start realizing like that stuff, the nightlife and stuff, that's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
This grind that you got to put in, that's gonna take you maybe 6-7 hours a day. You ain't gonna always have 6-7 hours a day. So I try to take advantage of my time.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Tez.
Absolutely.
I hope you had a good time. I definitely need you back for a part 2.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was an honor, and like I said, I try to do these just because it's like, people just need to hear it. They need to hear the information, and I know I have a different viewpoint than the majority of the human race, so I try to share it with the hopes that, you know, some younger version of me or somebody out there who looks like me just takes it and says, I kind of want to be like that in my own way, and that's what my hopes and goals is. So
facts. So y'all can follow Tez on all social media platforms at
_TheRealTez on Instagram, Dontez Akram on pretty much everything else. So YouTube, that's where I post a lot of free game. Twitter, Dontez Akram. TikTok, The Real Tez. Other than that, Facebook, Dontez Akram. But yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can find me.
Don't forget the clothing brand and the do-rag.
Oh yeah. Make sure y'all check out One Love Clothing, #1LUV.clothing on Instagram. If you got kids and things like that, we got kids merch, we got everything. So make sure you shop. Do-rags, you know, I'm getting my waves back on point. So if you need a do-rag or something like that, we got velvets, bonnets, all of that good stuff. So make sure you check us out, stackrag.com.
Which, okay, I should have asked before we close. I listed all the streams of income that you have, right? Or was I missing one?
Affiliate marketing, yeah, we could just say that. Yeah, there's a bunch of other things, but you know,
not a bunch. Okay, well, we'll save it for part 2.
Absolutely.
But well, here you have it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in.
Peace.
Bye.